Peace, love, and coconut oil family. You know how we do. I don't know if the family was expecting to see me. I ain't ready to come on comrades, and just come off the hustle still. But I'm gonna run it. Give thanks for the one viewer who is presently with us. Nothing but love, man. Love you divinely. Let me just put stuff in order to make sure everything is proper. You know what I mean? You know. Let me just see if we're running on YouTube as well. To make sure. Yeah, man, everything's running smooth. Okay. Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Yet another installment, Melanated Empire. You know how we do. Rising consciousness. As the theme says, as our slogan says, you know what I mean? And today, we're going to have a nice little show, many will see it as, not many will see it. A lot of people know it's the 91st anniversary, of the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie. Now, I got my notes here, so I don't want to go off point. I want to stick to the topic, you know what I mean? Hopefully, during the presentation, we're going to have a brother coming in. He goes by the name of Ras Righteous. I actually met him on a Dagger Squad University program where Garfield was having his Rasta Wednesdays. We kind of assembled there to have a dialogue with this European Rasta. Well, he calls himself a Rastafarian. He goes by the name of Peter, and he's from the Order of Primus and Croy. Now, all the time the man saying he's from the Order of Primus and Croy. Look, I'm going off on a tangent already, but I just need to say this. All the time, family, the man saying he's from the Order of Primus and Croy. Primus and Croy in St. Lucia. I'm like, Primus and Croy in St. Lucia? Is there another St. Lucia that I don't know of? You know what I mean? And all the time is, hey, St. Lucia. It wasn't until I spoke to Wasser Hiru Ma'at, which is, a good Rasta bedroom of mine. Still, I can even consider him a scholar for the amount of books he's had and he's read. You know what I mean? Telling me that Primus and Croy actually has services every Saturday. A place near the city that we call Up the Mon is actually where it's the location of the college, Sir Arthur Lewis Community College here in St. Lucia. That is the location of it. And this individual actually has service Up the Mon, and he has a few people attending. So I'm like, Primus and Croy all the way in St. Lucia, and you're all the way in suburbia or wherever you are, and then you are, you stick fast to this guy's doctrine. The doctrine is that Primus and Croy, is really Jesus Christ, and Haile Selassie is God Almighty. So Selassie is his father, and then he's Jesus Christ, and the Bible is actually speaking about him, in this day and age. I don't want to go into that. Anyway, correcting Rasta's misinformation. So Simon Jawish, what inspired you to do this video? The thing is, big up to honorables like Ras Ison. Big up he don't call himself an ender, and any of the family who is watching this and want to link up with the bedroom, he actually has a YouTube channel called Niaversity, right? So just type that in and you should get him. From time you see his face and you see, the channel name and everything, just subscribe, That elder, I read that elder, man, I give thanks to him still. You know what I mean? Trying to take the movement into a new faculty of interpretation of reasoning, because the old paradigm of thought, we have to do away with it. That is even the predominant reason why I actually stepped away from the whole movement, because the movement was getting too dogmatic and too biblical. You know what I mean? And a lot of things you could have, say, well, like, according to the historical record, and when you check facts, you see the things not adding up, Casa. So it's either you stay in it and you call it your own vibe and you define Rasta in your own way, which is what he told me to do. But I see there should be just a universal understanding in regards to if you call it a movement. Not everybody worldwide in the movement and everybody have their own interpretation. Because that coming like Christianity with all the denominations that it has because of various interpretations of that one religious corpus. Anyway, I big up to the brethren, send whole heart of love, dua to the elder, give thanks for the brother still. But this video is inspired by some Rastafarians who I see, pushing a lot of misinformation, family. Misinformation, especially on the Facebook thing. And I was just like, Casa, you know what? I have to do a video touching on some of them things, really. Because some people will see this thing, some people want to share it, subscribe to it, and not even realizing it, making them go deeper into the hole where they're supposed to be actually be liberating themselves and coming out of the hole and coming out of the cage, out of the box. You know what I mean? So as I said, today is Haile Selassie's 91st anniversary since he was coronated in 1940. Obviously, he's a central figure of the Rastafari movement, as the family should know. And for the family who's been following me, I mean, big up to all the new subscribers. Just trying to, because I mean, I was a bit late on the way from the slave plantation, from work, even from driving from the city. There was a terrible accident in one part of St. Lucia, which had the traffic backed up for a while. I even thought I wouldn't make it, but I didn't want to put the family off. I was like, yo, even though I late, we coming to run it. You know what I mean? So give thanks. And while I was even setting up myself, I say I had a new few subscribers. I'm like, wow, guys, I give thanks, guys. People is just divine love, reaching out, you know what I mean? And they understand, they can relate to me. Some people even taking their time. I mean, time is something very valuable these days. No one has time. So to actually sit down and view even my video, I mean, family, I'm so grateful. It's not even a joke, yo. So for those people who just tuning in or might come across this video and haven't subscribed, family, this is all the support I'm asking. Just a click of your mouse on that button which says subscribe. You don't even have to hit the notifications bell, as I usually see. So just hit that subscribe button to just give us that support. This is all we're really asking. Anyway, let's go in. So for the family who's been following me for some time now, you will know that I no longer identify myself as a Rasta, and my past videos explain why. As I said again, the elder Ras Ison will tell me, Gasa, but you cannot really, abide by how other people view or how they think Rasta really supposed to be. There is no universal understanding. So really your tradition and your life defines what you will consider what a Rasta is. Now, I can ride with that, which is why sometimes I'll still refer to myself as a Rasta. I mean, a star from Ra being that divine creative light from since the primordial time, primordial existence, But then that's one side of the scale. But then the other side, we're always dealing with my art and dealing with that balance. The other side of the scale is like, why then would I be ostracized by the majority? They would be like, yo, what you on? What you on is not no Rasta thing. And you check it, don't even refer to yourself as Rasta. You know what I mean? So on that note there, something I do most times I would not identify as that family. I'm telling you straight up, no taking shots at the movement like that, you know what I mean? Although there are some things Rastas really need to take account of. I mean, if it has embarrassment siding with it, just take the embarrassment and ride with it. Don't come and look for all kind of, cheap shots shooting below the hip and try and, look for all kind of ways to justify your belief. Now, a lot of people say, guys, things like belief and faith, that's something personal, which I agree with. But the problem is, if that is what you have known all your life and you've never been exposed to anything else, it's incumbent upon us that actually studied a bit more and have a little bit more information to show you, yo, you know what, have you even considered that way? Have you even considered that path? You know what I mean? So by the more decisions, by the more information we are better able to make a decision, a proper decision. So this is basically what we're doing when you see us scrutinizing, or some will call it criticizing, the movement. It's highlighting things in the movement that doesn't actually make sense and correcting a lot of the misinformation so we can help our people evolve and become better versions of themselves. Remember, we're getting older, Gasa. You cannot just be based on a belief. Oh, I believe, and they come and tell me nothing. Because man is big, man. If you cannot have them kind of reasoning and them kind of conversation, that video not for you. I telling you straight up. You check it? So it's so we're dealing with the thing. Now, I touched on that already, right? So yeah, this video is not really about me. As I said, it's about correcting some of the misinformation. Now, obviously, we have to touch on the Selassie thing because he's the central figure of the movement, right? So coronated in 1930, right, as King of Kings of Ethiopia. A lot of people seem to forget that of Ethiopia part. They say, oh, he's King of Kings, so he's King of Kings of the whole world. It doesn't go like that, family. Not that I'm taking any shots away from the man, but we have to deal with the thing live and direct, the way it is. Again, we are bringing understanding, we are rising consciousness. So a lot of people tend to forget that part, right? Now, the play that Marcus Garvey did at Elwes Park, although sources have been lacking in regards to the play, where he did say, look to Ethiopia for the crowning of a black king, and know that your redemption draweth nigh. Turn to look to Ethiopia where a prince shall be crowned king, and know that he is God, or he is your redeemer. Do you know what I mean? It was that play or that speech at the play that made us behold the emperor, that made us behold Selassie. Now, though I must say, it wasn't directly Selassie in succession to the throne. We need to remember that, family. It wasn't Haile Selassie. You check what I'm telling you? Now, some say because Lijasu, who was in direct succession for the throne, because Lijasu was Muslim, that is why he couldn't sit on the throne of Ethiopia. Okay? But some people, right, they say that to try to justify the power struggle and to justify the claims for the alleged killing of Lijasu and Queen or Empress Zoditu by the emperor and the Abuna. Alleged, remember, right? So some people use that to try and justify and say, you know, it's a power struggle, it's for the throne, and you know what I mean, people doing things for the throne and struggle for power. Anyway, whatever Marcus Garvey said pointed to Haile Selassie, and that's why all of us turn to Ethiopia, we see Haile Selassie crowned, and and boy, and we've never had a black emperor and a black king before, and start to make us, you know, see ourselves as divine and divinity in ourselves, and them kind of way there. So we glorify that. But the thing is, why you coming and tell me Lijasu wasn't really entitled for the throne because he's Muslim? Have you forgotten in one of Selassie's speeches, he said he's equally Christian as he is Muslim, as he is pagan? So if he's equally all of these things, obviously being a Muslim and being a pagan wouldn't actually hold any weight in regards to whether you want to sit on that throne or not. Although we know that the throne and the, you know, the religious side of that whole empire is Orthodox Christianity. So obviously the throne would kind of be a Christian throne, for lack of a better term, right? So anyway, fast forward in history, the same individual who tell us, look to Ethiopia for the crowning of a black king and know that your redemption draweth nigh, never worshipped Selassie. And to be quite frank, he was actually pissed off at the man. He called the man a coward, and he actually said that, you know, the man is a slave master at best. I don't know if the family, I mean, I don't want to read that, you know, because the family, I'm sure the family has heard that, but those are some of the things we tend to be oblivious to or turn a blind eye to. Especially those individuals that say Selassie, Emmanuel and Marcus Garvey is the one God in three and the Trinity who never disagree and all them kind of things. But wait, what? Never disagree, but you can actually go and find articles of Marcus Garvey running the man. You check what I'm telling you. Even when you study history, I'm not sure if the family is familiar with Patrice Lumumba, who was a black activist in the Congo. I was actually directed to that individual almost a decade ago when I was in the UK by an empress from New York called, I mean, she's a doctor right now, Dr. Said herself. Just tell me, as Bobo, you're too fixated on one person. I mean, go and look at some other freedom fighters. Go and study Patrice Lumumba for me. And I'll give you some questions about him and them thing there. And while she never gave the questions, pointing me in that direction, which is what most of my videos are, family. I'm not telling you to take everything I say at face value. It is there to just point you in a direction. I'm basically an arrow. You get me? So you might say, okay, Simon, your arrow, you know, give thanks for your arrow, you know, but it can go a little bit on the left or a little bit on the right to hit the bullseye. You check what I'm telling you? So she was basically an arrow for me. So when I studied Patrice Lumumba, I'm realizing that, you know, the UN and these people wanted to get rid of the veteran. And the emperor actually supported and sent Ethiopian soldiers to help the UN get rid of Patrice Lumumba in the Congo. So I'm like, but wait. What are going on there? You check. So it's for all things like that, family. I couldn't really still ride the bandwagon. You know what I mean? I want to become a better individual in myself. I don't even really want to be on no umbrella like that. You see what I'm saying? No umbrella. So umbrellas and all the boxes and the labels and all them things, if you really have to move forward as a people, we kind of have to get rid of all them things straight up, right? So while he actually, Marcus Garvey, while he runs Selassie, call him a coward and call him a slave master, really. You know, he was even pissed off that the man in England they're chilling with the Queen while his fellow countrymen are actually dying in the war against Italy. Okay? Now, notwithstanding, it was the coronation of this man that gave rise to what we know as the Rastafari movement. Okay? And we glorify that because something that started in the Caribbean is that it actually reached worldwide. You know what I mean? It reached worldwide, family. Now, the Rastafarian, what began as deaf and moaning to all black and white oppressor, that is rebellion, family. That is rebellion, straight up rebellion. And most people, that is what they understand Rastafari to be, just a rebellious people against injustice. You know what I mean? And standing up for the poor and the have-nots. So what began as a rebellious movement turned out to a clap and sing and worship. Yeah, when it was a clap and sing and worship. And most people actually waiting for the return of Selassie, like just like the Christians are waiting on the return of Jesus to come and make things straight and exact. Now, what does that do? That is part of the religious connotation where it doesn't allow you to take responsibility. You check it? So if you take responsibility, you would act the change you're waiting on Selassie to do, you would actually amass and come together and unify with other people, like-minded people, and try and work towards making that change that you're waiting for the man to come and do. You see what I'm saying? So we could see the religious dogma attached to the movement that has made once a rebellious horde family become docile and just waiting. Just sit back and waiting and clap and sing. And what they say? Watch and pray, watch and pray. Like, come on, man. The time for watch and pray gone, and you can see that we are living in a different time right now where you have to really stand up and do what you must, right? So, with that little introduction right there, we're basically going to be going into the few things I wanted to address. So, in this age of information, family, the Rastas are now presented with certain truths they weren't presented with before, that questions certain things they hold fast to. Okay, it will question the understanding of certain things, which is why a lot of the religious stuff that they like to ride with all the scholarship that is coming out now on the Bible, you cannot lay claim to the Bible justifying Selassie or him being the return of Christ or what have you. You cannot use Revelation to say, oh, because he's the King of Kings in Revelation, actually speaking about, like, you just cannot use that again. We're living in a different time right now. You see what I'm saying? So while faith and belief is personal, yeah. I mean, if it's personal, do not pass it off as a complete truth. And you go out there trying and show people or try and tell people like, yeah, that's the truth on them kind of way there, because people will start to question you and criticize you and scrutinize you and be like, but hold up, that ain't making sense. And if it's the Bible you subscribe to, most of them is the King James version. We'll start to bring out how much thing in Genesis, how much thing in Job, how much thing, I mean, Malachi, we can bring out the whole Bible and just show you that what you're trying to use to justify the divinity of this character, you cannot do that. Not in this time. Possibly before, when we didn't have many books and we weren't really in the age of information, because back in the day when the movement just started, the Bible was the only thing the elders had. You know what I mean? So they use what they had to try and help the people to a level to get out, because you can only use it to get you so far. After that, you have to put that on a side and go into other literature and other, documents and other information to help you evolve. You see what I'm saying? So while I give thanks for the birth of the movement, while I give thanks for that, the information, the misinformation, when some Rastas see the Rasta movement, this is the first screen I'm going to share. Give me a second. Where is it? Give me a second, family. Just a moment. Just a moment. Give me a second. Where did my thingy go to, man? I don't think the family's seen this. Give me a second, man. Give me a second. Give me a second. And also, family, I'm in the Caribbean, so you will hear dogs barking and them kind of way there. So, pardon me, don't really dig nothing. I say, you know what? I shared my entire screen to Bamboo Clat. I shared my entire screen because I again what I want to do. Sharing the entire screen. Hope the family's seeing this here. Zion Warren, my brethren. I actually interviewed these brethren on one of the, the shows, the lives I was doing in regards to reasoning with the Rastafari and their concepts, their outdated concepts. So this brother, he actually came across my video why I am no longer Bobo Rastafarian, talking about, if the God of the Bible is, for black people, and the Hebrew Israelites in the Bible are black people. One of my questions was, why are the Hebrew Israelites in the Bible killing other black people? You know what I mean? And that is when it said the Israelites, or God commanded the Israelites to kill the Midianites. And the Midianites are, if you look at, the origin of the term, you will see it leading to Ethiopians, to black people. So the Midianites is because Moses took on a wife called Zipporah, and Zipporah, remember, Sarah and Aaron got pissed off at Moses that he took a Midianite woman, he took an Ethiopian woman, a black woman, and they were pissed off at him. And then the God of the Bible, Yahweh, is commanding the Israelites to go and kill all the Midianites, all dogs, cats, everything, and take all the cattle, take all what they have there as booty, and the women who have not known a man, meaning the children, few virgins, most of the women would have the man there. So the women who have not known a man, who are the children, who will lead some people to say that the Bible has pedophilia in it, the women who have not known a man, take them onto yourselves. You check what I'm telling you? So I didn't agree with that. You check it? And then the brethren is now making a video about me. That was a few years ago, making a video about me saying, oh, I didn't go deep into the story to realize that those Israelite people actually married those women or those children who have not known a man. Like, that's supposed to justify the whole thing. No, it doesn't justify it, Zion. It doesn't justify it. Now, one of the misinformation that I want to correct is this statement I see you posted on your status, saying most of your black liberation movements were predated by the Rastafarian movement. It was Haile Selassie that sparked the flame and called the scattered and dispersed of Israel from the four corners of the earth. Even Pentecostal churches are the offspring of the king. Like, really, bro? Really? This is the sort of misinformation that I'm talking about, family. Have we really been studying black history and the black liberation movements for you to make such a statement? Most of your black liberation movements were predated by the Rastafarian movement, which means Rastafari or Rastafarian as a movement predates most black liberation movements. Now, the thing is, a lot of people will say that it was after the speech by Marcus Garvey, or roughly around that same time, that the Rastafari movement itself was birthed. And the coronation of Haile Selassie, because remember, it is the 91st anniversary, was in 1930. 1930. And if you want to put it a couple of years back to say, well, in 1927, he was actually crowned Negus, I believe. And in 1927, he was called Negus, and in 1930, he was called Negus de Negas, meaning the King of Kings, So even though you want to put it to 1927, It's between 1927 and 1930 that the movement itself was birthed, family. Now, if you are really studying Black liberation movements, right, you will see that the first Pan-African Conference, let's have a look at this photo here. Pan-African Conference, Westminster Town Hall, 23rd, the same date that Haile Selassie was born, of July, right? 1897. 23rd, 24th, and 25th July 1900. You see, this conference is organized by a committee of the African Association of the Discussion of the Native Races question and will be attended and addressed by those of African descent from all parts of the British Empire, the United States of America, Abyssinia, Liberia, Haiti, etc. We are cordially and earnestly invited to attend conferences morning, 10:30 and evening. Right? Now, first Pan-African Conference. Wiki. Pan-African Conference. The first Pan-African Conference was held in London from the 23rd to the 25th July 1900s, just prior to the Paris exhibition of 1900, in order to allow tourists of African descent to attend both events. Organized primarily by the Trinidadian barrister Henry Sylvester Williams. Does the family know who Henry Sylvester Williams is? Henry Sylvester Williams was a Trinidadian lawyer, counselor, and writer, most noted for his involvement in the Pan-African movement. Remember, this is in the 1900. The date always confused me because I'm looking to see, I'm looking to perhaps see another two numerals in the tens after the actual year. 1900s. And we just said that the birth of the movement was between 1927 to 1930. So a whole 30 or 27 years before that, we have a Pan-African Conference going on. Now, this is why I'll say, if we wasn't romanticizing on the movement, family, if we wasn't romanticizing, we would have already been studying the history in regards to Pan-Africanism. You see, and we would have known about these conferences and these esteemed characters, these esteemed players in the movement, most of the majority of them being from the Caribbean, but actually migrated to the US to actually start something greater. Because, truth is true, family. We have to call a spade a spade. A lot of people here in the Caribbean ain't really ready for that. Like, we're too comfortable and the sun nice, and we like to go by the beach, and we like to car away, and we want to go to a zest there and a zest over there. You know what I mean? But these individuals actually realizing that, you know what, guys, our ancestors just came from slavery. The Slave Trade Act entered in 1807, which forbade the transportation of slaves, but you were still allowed to have slaves in whatever vicinity or country or island that you have them at, till we went to the abolishment of slavery completely in 1834, and it still continued in some islands for another 50 years. You see? So 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're looking at 1887, and this conference was in the 1900, just after. So if we're really about the Pan-African and liberating mind, body, and soul ourselves as a people, none but ourselves can liberate our minds, as Bob Marley say. We would know about these individuals if we wasn't romanticizing and dick riding. Yes, I said it. To Amboclat. Fuck it. I said it. It wasn't dick riding. You check what I'm telling you? You want to go on your knees and prostrate and prostrate and, look, I say prostrate. I don't do laugh, guys. Look, I say, let me check if they're ready there. Right? I always say, not prostrate, but prostrate. They say when you go on your knees and you go down and you worship, and when you prostrate, to me, prostrate and prostate even too close. And who has a prostate? A man. So when you go down on your knees, you straight at the man prostate, which is why they call it prostrate. We dig right in too much, guys. So we need to liberate ourselves from that. And I know you're probably screwing, and I really come and make that video to come and nice up anybody, because we like to hear nice things, because nice things making us comfortable, and making us say yes, I. So if I was to tell you, yeah, man, what Zion saying true is Selassie that send the call out and scattered the dispersed children of Israel through the four corners. It's them kind of things. It's them kind of thing biblical rastas and biblical people like to hear. And other nothing you like to hear. See what I tell you there is raw truth. You check it. Raw truth, which they're like medicine, it don't freaking taste nice, but it's good for your body. But this medicine, which we at Melanated Empire is giving, is there to rise your consciousness. Consciousness dealing with awareness, dealing with your mind. So we are trying to rise your mind and making you liberate and become a better individual. Take on responsibility and stop waiting for some savior or some God. Get rid of that savior God complex, which is basically an attribute of post-traumatic slave syndrome. So, organized primarily by the Trinidadian barrister Henry Sylvester Williams, a Trinidadian lawyer, counselor, and writer, most noted for his involvement in the Pan-African movement. It took place in Westminster Town Hall, right? I have been there when I was in England, right? And was attended by 37 delegates and about 10 other participants and observers from Africa, the West Indies. They call it West Indies because Christopher Columbus, they sent him to India, to the East Indies, and then when he reached here, you're not in India, you still want to call it in West Indies. You know what I mean? West Indies, because St. Lucia is part of the archipelago of the West Indies. I'm located in St. Lucia, for the family that don't know. Again, family, if you reach here in the video and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button for us, show some support, right? Attended by 37 delegates and 10 other participants and observers from Africa, the West Indies, the US, and the UK, including Samuel Coleridge Taylor, right? An English composer and conductor. The youngest delegate, John Alcindor, was a physician and activist from Trinidad who settled in London. Benito Sylvain was a Haitian journalist, diplomat, and lawyer, and one of the organizers of the 1900 Pan-African Conference. Okay, we have Dadabari Norijai, Indian political leader, John Archer, okay, British politician and political activist. Henry Francis Downing was an African-American sailor, politician, dramatist, and novelist. And W.E. Du Bois. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, I actually never knew what the W.E.B. was, to be quite honest, was an American sociologist, socialist, historian, civil rights activist, Pan-Africanist, author, writer, and editor. With Bishop Alexander Walters of the AME Zion Church taking the chair. Du Bois played a leading role drafting a letter addressed to the nations of the world, to European leaders, appealing them to struggle against racism, to grant colonies in Africa and the West Indies the right to self-government, and demanding political and other rights for African Americans. So this hair, family, right? This hair took place in 1900. So you cannot be coming and tell me most of your Black liberation movement, which basically Black liberation deals with Pan-African movements, were predated by the Rastafarian movement. That is wrong. So that is one of the misinformation we have to deal with. You check what I'm telling you? That is one of the misinformation we have to deal with. Now, that is just one of them. The next one is, where is it? Coming for the next one, eh? The next one is this, brother. Aksume Dawit. Right? Some of us so fixated because, again, Selassie, was crowned by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So basically, the man is a Christian king. So some of them, because they cannot face the reality, because a lot of us, especially in this age of information, pushing back on Christianity, seeing it's part of an acculturation process that our people has gone through. An acculturation process is where a people are exposed to some sort of tradition or religion that they mistakenly take up as their own. And after practicing it for so many years, they think that it actually emanated from them. When the truth is, they were only exposed to that, right? Because the original way of understanding and the original way of spirituality was beaten out of them. Like there is this brother in my comments on my last video, a few videos I did, Piccolo's son or something, and he say, oh, I better don't look anywhere, for no brand or nothing like that. He is the one. I don't know what one he's talking about. Big up, you actually come in and give my video or watch it and like that still. But when I see or hear misinformation again, I have to address it, family, because this has been our plight for too long. That's why we're in the age of information, we're in the age of Aquarius, the age of of happy of Nugasa, and you still want to be relying on them we have to liberate ourselves. It might not be nice, as I said, they're like medicine. So a lot of us, because we see the man as a Christian king and we don't want to denounce what the man doing or anything, we're looking for all kind of ways to justify whatever it is the man doing, right? So this guy want to go as far as saying that, let us read the comment. Now, how many of us would still claim that Emperor Constantine was a white man if we could read Ethiopic gears and Amharic? How many of us would still demonize and accuse him mistakenly, mainly because we tend to equate being born in Byzantine and being Emperor of Rome with being European and white? Let's not take King Emmanuel lightly when he stressed that we have to learn gears and Amharic to get a more balanced Ethiopic understanding of our tradition, history, and culture. This learning could and will open the entrance gate to a whole new world of original, authentic information which has never been translated to English or any other European language. Until we as the student teachers learn these languages or humbly work hand in hand with others who have, we will run the risk of disseminating certain misguided information drawn from a Eurocentric standpoint, much contrary to our Ethiopian truth. Basically, bro, you are disseminating that same misguided information you're talking about. It is not because on some scroll or some parchment, which is still a religious corpus, to think that that is correct and the historical record is incorrect. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? And what are you saying by that, Simon? What do you mean? I mean, on my channel, we have actually made a whole presentation on Emperor Constantine. You check what I'm telling you, and his alleged dream or vision and what he saw in the sky and is the cross and what have you. We made a whole presentation on that. Now, obviously, I expect the man to come across my presentation, my work not really out there like that. Is I want to viewers, I want to people that watching my thing. Do I glorify and give thanks for those who do and actually learn something, you know? But family, we have done the research on that. Now, there is something called the historical method. It is a way of matching up history with certain texts that we come across. So like I said, not because in Gears and Amharic, it says that Constantine, okay, is a black man or depicted him as a black man to try and feel, well, like, you know, that's correct. Because the Bible, we have actually laid claim to the Bible and saying, oh, a lot of these things is historical fact. But the historical method is comparing the sources with what archaeology and the historical record says. And if it doesn't match up, obviously the source, we cannot credit the source with being factual. And that is just one of the historical methods. There are actually 5 of them. So if you cannot pass the first one, I cannot even take you on the rest of the 4. You see? Now, that is what real researchers do. Now, mind you, that is not even the original post. I think he edited the post because when he put that, I come under the post and I say, what kind of misinformation thing you on there? The post actually had, when he talking about Constantine like that, he actually went on to say that Constantine's mother was a black Nazarite. I was like, wait, what? Negro, are you being serious? The woman was actually called Flavia. Flavia is an ancient Roman term meaning blonde. And you might tell me, oh, where you learn that from the European. Bro, we're dealing with the historical record. We're dealing with archaeology. If we even put your claims and what you say you read in the Gears or Amharic in those religious corpuses of the Orthodox Christian, right, church, if you try and match that up, it doesn't match up against the historical record, just like we did the Bible. So how can I dismiss the historical record and take that on? Constantinus, who is Emperor Constantine's father, is Roman. And we're not talking about ancient Roman, because a lot of us like to say, oh, everything in the ancient times, everybody in ancient times was black, man. So the Greeks were black and the ancient Romans were black and everybody was just black. You know what I mean? Like, we need to do away with that, misguided misinformation, really. So we have touched upon and explained why Constantine himself, and I should have even tried, they erected, why would... Give me a second, family. Give me a second. Give me a second. Why would, okay, they erect sculpture, an image of this character in York Minster, UK, looking like this, and put Constantine by this sign, or in this sign I will conquer, which is what he said when he had the vision, right? Because I mean, you see the title of the thing. Did Emperor Constantine really have a dream? Okay. Who is Constantine? Full name Flavius Valerius Constantinus is, according to the narrative, the first Roman emperor to profess Christianity. Born sometime around 280 after the Christian era of 337 AC, his acceptance of Christianity initiated the whole Roman Empire to the religion, and this also set in motion the Byzantine Empire and Western medieval culture. He is known for his dream, which is alleged to have had at the Medlivian Bridge against Maxentius. I mean, we did a whole thing on that family. It's on my channel. The family can scroll along and can go into it. His father, Diocletian, who was an emperor as well, divided Rome into 4 sections, and Constantine's father, who is Constantinus, actually ruled one of the places. And when his father died, his army declared Constantine king of Rome, right? As a result, for taking on that title, Emperor of Rome, he had to go and battle Maxentius. And at the battle, I'm calling the Battle of Saxe-Ruber as well. There are even frescoes painted. Why would you have a whole room in the Vatican depicting the battle and showing that the man Caucasian and European, and now you want to come and tell me because of your religious corpus, right? Because of your religious corpus, you want to try and say, oh, the man is a black man. Oh, his mother, I even know who following me, who's still going on. My second family. Simple, just a simple. Simple. Helena, later known as Flavia Julia Helena Augustia. Then if you have to type up what does Flavia mean, Flavia is an ancient Roman word meaning blonde. So you move that part in the post because I don't strike you on that already, but you leave the part still talking about Emperor Constantine and how, he's a white man. Family, we go into that. We go into the accounts of the dream. We go into Eusebius's account. We go into what was actually seen. Is it the chiro or the tarot, which is Greek letters superimposed, a P on top of an X, one on top of the other. And I know many of us will come across back in the day, long time ago, Ashakwesi actually breaking that down and showing is a symbol of Ose resurrecting and them kind of way there. But when we go deep into it, the oldest rendition we have of that symbol is Ptolemy III. You see what I'm saying? Look the symbol under the vulture or the eagle or what have you. Look the symbol right there. And we went into it being deeper than the X and the P. Yo, family, I mean, we went into yo, cause them man they want to see me, yo. I'm not talking out of no kind of ego kind of thing, but when I do the research already, I know what I'm talking about, family. So these individuals and that misinformation, you check what I'm telling you, we need to expose that. So, as I said, not because the religious text say that he is black or his mother is a black Nazarite, to feel that it's true, you need to do the historical method and match up what these religious corpus is saying against archaeology and the historical record. If it doesn't match up, you cannot say, oh, them things lying and I go hold on to the Bible. That is an attribute of Christianity, straight up and down. And that cannot help liberate us. No way, no how, family. This is the awakening, yo. And the great distraction is when the C19, they try and put the C19 to distract everybody, because then people then realize black people worldwide waking up. And if they allow us to wake up too much, we're going to push back and resist and put up a fight and bring about that real Rasta spirit, which is the rebellious spirit. You see what I'm saying? And they do not want that. So what to do? The great distraction. Oh, there is a worldwide, this is going on. Not that I'm saying that there is no, this is a Freddy thing going on, but for all we know, that is a biological weapon that the people release, and they're now forcing us to take the vaccine just for us to try and get back to some sort of normalcy and them kind of way there. But look all what they're doing, turning back on them, because all the vaccinated people, I mean, still getting sick, still transmitting the diseases. It doesn't mitigate anything. Like, So you cannot tell me not because you're a religious corpus saying that you will hold on to that dismissed history. That's bullshit, and we need to stop that. We need to cut that out, man. We need to cut that out. You check it? Cut that shit out. And what I'm burning me to, as we would say in Lucia. I don't say Lucia. I'm with my fruit family. Give me a moment. I had to, in my moments as well, I had to send a link with my bedroom, you know. Wow. Let me see. Bedroom's probably a little tired, but I sent him the link anyway. Okay. So we need to stop with that misinformation. Now the thing about it is, we even know that the Ptolemies, even from the BCE period, Alexander the Greek or the Great or the Macedonian, however you want to refer to him as, archaeology shows that thousands of years ago, we can actually denote that if these characters were black or not. And the Constantine vibe was after the Christian era, that is just yesterday. So we should have more proof showing that if these individuals are actually black or not. So all that posted as misinformation, we already debunked that. And you probably took, not probably, you took out the one saying his mother was a black Nazarite because I pulled you up on it. And you actually put her in there because guess what? The Meskel tradition in Ethiopia, where they celebrate the finding of the Holy Cross, who, according to history, again, said that they found the cross and sent a relic to Ethiopia. It was Flavia Helena, it was Constantine's mother that said, oh, just like her son, he saw in a dream that, the cross and then, or the Chairo, and he said, in this sign we shall conquer, right? The same way Eusebius come and say Constantine's mother said she had a dream, and the dream actually pointed her to where the true cross of Christ is. And she go there and they had free cross, free cross. And we know that according to the historical record, the Sanhedrin, the one named Yahushua, was hung on a tree, not with 12 disciples or not with the two thieves on his side. He was hung with he and his 5 disciples for sorcery. You see what I'm saying? So, hung on a tree. So where the cross come from? So she said, oh, she have a dream, and then she dreamed where the cross was, and they were burning a bonfire, and then the smoke in the fire made an arrow that point her to where the cross is, and then she go there and they had free cross, and through mystical revelation. It's always mystic, it's always some divine intervention, because when somebody come and tell you God tell them or God say, it's like you're not supposed to question them. You check it. Some divine revelation that tell her which cross was Jesus's cross, man. They had free cross, Not that I even buy the story to begin with, but let's just ride with it, right? Divine revelation tell her which cross is Jesus' cross. So she take the cross, she break it up in pieces, and she send a piece to every church. And that's how they have the Meskel tradition in Ethiopia. So if the people want to believe and make the tradition based off of a lie, and they're doing it so many years, they want to leave it. And then, I can't tell the people nothing. But then we now, in this new generation, rising up and want to make a change, family, and want to be based really about truth, we cannot write on them lies, We're supposed to be able to see them thing and debunk them thing through history. Now, some people might say, oh, but it's the white man, science and the white man. That's archaeology don't have that, Unless you have the tools to go and dig up and do the work yourself. You see what I'm saying? But archaeology in itself is unbiased. It's just giving you the historical evidence for a people, a particular race, or a culture. Archaeology and anthropology at that particular time in history. You see? So, the whole Helena having a dream and Constantine having a dream, these people are always freaking dreaming. I see Martin Luther had tried, but it didn't even work. You see what I'm saying? Because we like to deal with dreams because all in the Bible we have, Nebuchadnezzar, I believe it is, still dreaming, and you're asking Daniel to come and interpret. Like everything is a dream. You see what I'm saying? Not that I say the people ain't dreaming, but don't come and, use your dream to warrant the fact that. Let me just check on my family. Okay, everything's still going well. Okay. Don't come and use your dream to warrant the fact that, is actually truth you on when we know is a freaking lie. So that's another misinformation I wanted to deal with. You check it? So we deal with that already. Now, lastly, Lastly, because the live has been going on for a while, I didn't even intend on it being so long. Give thanks to the two, or I mean, some people are still watching the thing and you're already seeing them watching it. I give thanks for who is still with us. Hope you're enjoying the program. I hope you're actually learning as we go along. This is not just building a fire still, but we're elevating ourselves. And what does the Bible say? To purify, you have to pass through the fire, Rasta. To purify, you have to pass through the fire. So just take it as a fire, purge yourself, and come out like silver is tried in a furnace 7 times, as your Bible says. You see? Now, lastly, while we are attempting with all our lives, and my ISO and going into the metaphysical aspect of it, though Imhotep will still tell them you couldn't really use the metaphysical notion to justify, the divinity of the man. Let's just take the man as an ancestor and as a historical king as he was, just as we do it with all other individuals. You check it? Stokely Carmichael, W.A. Du Bois, Benito Sylvain, and all these characters. Let us learn about other Black liberators and Pan-Africanists who had our best interest at heart, family, and not just dig right on one character. You check it? Just like the Gaviites, where they have Marcus Garvey as a central figure. I never see no Gaviite go on worship and go on the knees and pray to Marcus Garvey in them kind of way there. So how we fall in that trap? How we come with the religious dogma when it comes to the movement, which is why I could no longer associate myself with the movement. You check. Now, lastly, while we are attempting to make the movement gravitate to this new faculty of understanding and of reasoning, right? Through a kinetic standpoint, because that's what we are using, the kinetic spiritual concept to bring it into Rastafari. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But when you're doing that, you need to bring the correct understanding as well. Do not carry over your Christian understanding into the new faculty of reason. You're going right back around in a freaking hole. You check it? You cannot do that. So we need to understand the spiritual concept properly, which is why when I go into my understanding Kemetic deities, I always show the family, I will break down Basset for you. I'll break down Sekhmet. I'll break down as much deities as I can periodically, sporadically, but always show that these deities never literally existed. They never had no goddess walking around with a lioness head, or Anpu walking around with a jackal head, or a man walking around with a bird head. You know what I mean? Some individuals who have their agenda are now saying that, again, using the kinetic standpoint, saying that the Trinity of Rastafari, which is Marcus Garvey, Emmanuel, and Haile Selassie, is basically the deities in ancient Kemet, being Anpu, Anubis, Heru, or Horus, and Ose, or Osiris. So they say Marcus Garvey is Anubis, or Anpu, Emmanuel is Heru, or Horus, and Haile Selassie is Ose, or Osiris. That, and to be honest, if it wasn't for that, I would have left the other time ago. So when I came across that, and the family should know, who pushing them kind of agenda there still, When I came across it, I was like, yeah, man, that making sense. And I always listening to the man. I never going to do my own research. The moment I went to do my own research and listen to other scholars, I was like, I'm going to have an agenda, man. And turns out he does. Because if you're a priest of a particular order, and as they say, you are a priest forever, it's like you cannot leave the priesthood. So it's like you have to do whatever it takes to make sure you always bring people in as a priest. You check it? Always bring people into the order so you have your own agenda while hiding a certain aspect of truth from them. So we now have to be mature in ourselves and go and do our own research. That's why I always tell people, I did like an arrogance and I tell you to follow me. Although I try to be that typical role model for young Rastafari to see, okay, you know what? I can still be Rasta and still hold myself upright and still look accordingly, still have a nice ride, still have my family, still have my little place, and hold myself in my little work and them kind of way there while I study and help myself liberate spiritually and assisting my people as well. I try to be that role model, family. And a lot of young veterans have come to me and say, Asa, Jawish, because that's what they call me in Lucia, Jawish, guys, I really like how you're moving, Asa. Yeah, man, like, yeah. As far as I like how you're moving. But those that think they're too far right for people, like, take for example, my hairdresser actually went and, because I had so much regrowth, you check it, and to be honest, the heat and everything, I was tired of always putting a thumb in my head. I was like, you know what, do my hair for me and give me a nice style, Rasta. Now when she do it, I myself understood I was looking a bit girly, but after a few days, when it got a little still, I was like, yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. Because sometimes when it's not too long and you're always covering it and it always, Nazarene vow and you're not supposed to cut your hair because it's a covenant between you. Whole load of bullshit, family. Biblical dogma. You see what I'm saying? Enough of them, when they see me with my little hairstyle and thing, enough of them I go check me because they feel because they hair covered and because they have only regrowth, they're more Rasta than me. Now, I really not associating myself with you, but in regards to the understanding of the movement, history, African spirituality, you can't talk to me, guys. You can't talk to me. And I don't know ego thing. I try and make myself well studied to actually be able to make that statement. And there are many people because I'm an what they refer to as an autodidact family, right? Let me see if the bedroom come in because I invited him to come in, though he's not there as yet. Okay, check that. I'm what they refer to as an autodidact family. I'm self-studied. A lot of people have teachers. You understand? I'm an autodidact. So I aspire to make myself well studied so I can have them kind of conversations. I can study to be able to disseminate information for the family and even for my youths. For when they get older, they can go on Daddy channel and see what Daddy was really doing. So the half that's never been told or what they were hiding from us from since that time, they can go and they don't have to really go and do all that research. Daddy already do half of it for them and point them in the right direction. So a lot of the time that was lost in us finding the truth when we make it incumbent upon ourselves to learn the truth and we pass it over to our children don't have that to really study again. You check what I'm telling you? And that is part of the work, family. Now, a lot of them, when they see me with my hair and thing, they don't even want to check me because to them, oh, that one is one of them fashion rats and them kind of thing there. And that one, fashion rats and them kind of, but hello, AE. But how you mean? I nice up myself and I nice up myself, guys. I have to move like, a barbara thing the whole time there like that. You know what I mean? They have time when you see me clean and they have time when you see me dirty. And tell you what, all of us love women. I have my goddess. You check what I'm telling you? But all of us love women and the women love to see us men when we take care of ourselves like that. You know how many goddesses that watch me on the road when I pass and I dress for work and I am moving through? You check what I'm telling you? A lot of them Rasta men. That's why you'll probably don't even have women too. Straight up. I said if I have how it is, guys. I don't care if that. Today is bare fire because 91 anniversary, King of Kings of Ethiopia, correcting the misinformation. And even that is part of the misinformation as well. Thinking that the rougher you look, that is the more Rasta you are. That's misinformation, man. It's misinformation. You don't have to look like that to be rebellious and deal with rebellion. You check what I'm telling you? Yes, back in the day, yeah. Because the Negmao, as we refer to them, or the Maroons who escaped the system and ran up into the hills, that is how they would move. You check it. But we can be in the system and not of it, just like your Bible and your Christ. He's in the world, but not of it. So you also have to be in the world, but not of it. You check it? So a lot of the misinformation, we have to throw it away. So the understanding on the chemetic standpoint where Marcus Garvey is Anubis, Emmanuel is Hero, Selassie is Osiris, we have to do away with that, guys. Because none of these people actually existed. They are all principles. You check it? And some people might say, well, we don't have any ancient Kemetes or ancient Egyptians here with us today to make us know that's what it is. But there are certain Meduneta or hieroglyphs I will show you where in one scene you see two Anubis leading Unefer to the halls of Ma'at, to the scales, and you still see Anubis kind of kneel down at the scales with the plum trying to balance the scales where the hat and the feather on the scales. So how can there be two? And you check what I'm telling you, family. Basic thing like that. And you will only learn about these things if you go and do your own research. You check it? So one of the last thing I want to deal with is the myth that where someone trying to say Selassie is Osiris. Because according to the Osirian myth, it says that there were 72 instigators against Osiris where he had the banquet, and 72 of them inspired against him to basically, with Set, to put him in the coffin, right? And to seal up the coffin and send him down a river to basically just get rid of him. So when they say that, right, they try and say, oh, the same way Osiris had 72 members come and crucify him, 72 co-conspirators. It's the same way when Haile Selassie was crowned. He had 72 nations that come and bow before him. And it's them same 72 nations at the League, them 72 nations at the League of Nations that crucified him, and they even want to go into what article, if it's Article 14 or Article 16, just because Osiris was chopped up into 14 and 16 parts, right? Going to Article 14 or Article 16 saying that any nation who rises up against another one shall be severed. And all kind of romanticizing, trying to link up the thing. When all you have to do is just go and do a little research. Member states of the League of Nations. So we're going to really see what there's 72 members at the League of Nations when Selassie went and gave his speech in 1936. Member state of the League of Nations. Between 1920 and 1939, a total of 63 countries became member states of the League of Nations. The covenant forming the League of Nations was included in the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the most important of the peace treaties that brought World War I to an end. The treaty ended the state of war between Germany and the Allied powers. This was signed on 20th June 1919 in the Palace of Versailles, exactly 5 years after the assassination, right? And came into force on 10th January 1920 with the League of Nations being dissolved, on 18th April 1946. Its assets and responsibilities were transferred to the United Nations. The League's greatest extent was from 20th September 1934, when Ecuador joined, to 23rd February 1935, when Paraguay withdrew, with 58 members. You check what I'm telling you? Only Costa Rica, Brazil, Japan, Germany had withdrawn, and only Egypt was left to join on 26 May 1937. So at no time whatsoever was there 72 nations in the League. Again, that misinformation, family. And we're calling them out. We're calling out all the misinformation. I don't feel like, man, just come and criticize the movement and man kind of leave the movement alone. And I gave the movement a decade, more than a decade, a little over a decade of my life. And there are individuals in the movement right now who are asking themselves these questions, but afraid to come out in fear to be ostracized. But Simon Jawish don't care. We're raising consciousness. This is Melanated Empire. You know what I'm saying? Melanated Empire. If you ain't ready for this truth, don't click on this channel, man. Straight up. You check it? So we have addressed some of the misinformation. There are so much more misinformation out there, family. But it's just what was in my direct access and what I could have really seen that was really pissing me off. And even though I tried to do something on it on Facebook, all you have to do is just block you and you cannot comment under anything. So I decided to put these together to make a little video. I didn't even intend on the video being so long. You see what I'm saying? Yes, I didn't even intend on the video being so long. You know what I mean? But give thanks for the individual or individuals who have remained with us for this hour. Again, I said I didn't intend on it being so long, but we did disseminate a lot of truth and corrected a lot of misinformation, which was really the aim of this live presentation. Stay tuned. Melanated Empire, you know how we do. Going to be building and creating more videos, understanding ancient deities, whether it is schematic. Look, now we're going to the ancient Ethiopian Kushite deities as well, to understand what was the concept even before King Izana converted the region into Christianity. Right? And having said that, family, I hope these videos and these lives, even the reasonings, help bring about the rebellious nature back to these people known as the Rastafari movement, even within all of us. Because from time you are just a rebellious one from the Caribbean, even you can call yourself a Rasta. We even have to do a video whereas asking, I don't know if I might do it after that or a little later on, but the question will be, what kind of Rasta are you? Are you a rebellious Rasta? Or are you the religious, dogmatic Rasta, clap and sing and wait and beat drums and wait and wait and wait? Wait and pray, or watch and pray, or what have you. So these videos are really to help you become a better version of yourself, to ignite that spark back within us as a Caribbean people. Because remember, we were the first stop from Africa, We have that rebellious spirit back in us. We have it in us, family. We just need to revive it. You check what I'm telling you? And no, I just say telling you just go and be rebellious and just fire burn everything. As my brother Ras Righteous will say, as he told me even, because we reason with this dialogue on Facebook, that is in itself is even counterproductive because you just want to burn fire on everything when you can actually learn and help yourself evolve by embracing certain understandings. Oh, Gasa. Oh, Gasa. Oh, my Gasa. Ras Righteous, I just mentioned you, my bro, and I was just about to seal up the presentation.
Oh, man.
Peace and love, my brother.
You.
Peace and love, man. How are you, bro?
Peace and love, brethren. What on?
Everything blessed, you know. Gaza, I just seal up. I was just sealing up, basically giving my last piece saying that, you know, I hope these videos actually rekindle the rebellious spark within us as a Caribbean people, because we were the first stop from Africa during the transatlantic slave trade, but we have somehow become docile through religious dogma. And like my brother Ras Righteous will say, not rebellious in the sense of burning fire on everything, as that in itself is counterproductive, as you told me, my brother, which is very true. You know what I mean? Because we can actually learn stuff and it will allow us to evolve and become better versions of ourselves and for the race at large. You get me?
A tree without roots does not know how to properly bear fruit. And so it is part of our challenge as Black people to, in general, to, you know, seek where we come from so we know where to go forward. And Sankofa and all of that is, you know, a principle which, you know, a lot of our African brethren follow to, you know, and I think that as a result, we have to, you know, do all that we can to spread the words about history so that people can better quantify what it is that they need to do in order to be able to establish that proper foundation to move forward. And so I do look forward to another build, definitely, where we can go a little bit deeper. I think that a lot of that, the reason for a lot of the abandonment of mission, it seems as though is correlated to, of course, colonialism, but also complacency. And so by, you know, just constantly accepting that which is the status quo instead of pushing forward is definitely, you know, sort of an ongoing mantra amidst our people. But also I find that it can be very well not knowing where to start, you know. And I think that often people kind of get overwhelmed with that concept. You know, there's a lot of different things that we can go into as to why people don't. But the point is that it doesn't matter where you start. Just start somewhere. Start anywhere. Start with one book, you know. Start with one documentary. Start with one effort. Start with one cipher. Whatever it may be, whatever it needs to spark the creativity to make you push forward, that is enough to start you. You know, the fire builds over time. Everything must start with a spark.
Most definitely, man. I unequivocally agree with you, bro. I mean, that actually couldn't have been better said. You know what I mean? And you touched on many topics even in that little dialogue that you just gave. I will give thanks for you coming through, bro. And since you're here, I mean, we don't even have to really seal it up one time. I was actually telling the family my next video was going to be, you know, what kind of Rasta are you? Are you on the rebellious side, or are you on the clap and sing and religious dogmatic side? You know, which again has to deal with the complacency, which you just said, not taking full responsibility and sort of, you know, going with that savior complex or that God complex, waiting for someone to come and deliver you and not taking responsibility to try and make a change within yourself and within the nation. And like you said, it just takes just one step. And from time you start anywhere, it's just start, man. And this is part of what Melanated Empire is about. We're giving you those first few steps where you have actually stepped away from the norm, from the post-traumatic slave syndrome, and realizing that there is something greater to this mission, whereas it entails, you know, making the race evolve.
Yeah, man.
Coming out of this complex situation we're in.
Precisely true. And, you know, we can definitely delve into this another time, but, you know, it's coming from the gym. So
Oh,
I saw your message. I was like, oh, jump in this real quick, but I didn't know you already finished the build. But no problem. We'll touch base another time, and stay well, my friend. If you're closing out, or you're looking to stay a little longer and build more.
Yeah. Well, I can stay a little longer. I mean, Trey said that you just came in, man. Thanks for your presence. I mean, even though you just gave just a piece, I'm sure it gave the viewers a lot to actually consider, and it made a lot of sense because a lot of them are really complacent in what they're in, the religion that they're in, and they're afraid to step out.
Yeah.
And those of us who are trying to apply the new faculty of interpretation, of reasoning, of understanding of the movement, we seem to be plagued with carrying over the Christian understanding into the new faculty or the Kemetic perspective, since that is predominantly where most Rastas are pointing towards right now. So we're bringing in the Christian mindset and the Christian understanding in there. Like I touched upon earlier on in the video, there are certain Rastafari veterans that are trying to say that the Trinity, of Bobo Shanti being Marcus Garvey, Emmanuel, and Haile Selassie are actually the Kemetic deities reincarnated. So some will say Anpu or Anubis is actually Marcus Garvey, Heru or Horus is Emmanuel, and Ose or Osiris is Haile Selassie. What do you think about that?
I think that's more of the Christian mindset, when you're coming into any sort of. Let me kind of explain my background a little bit. So
go ahead, bro.
I'm from the States. My father's Jamaican, mother's family's from Nevis, and so kind of have an eclectic background and with Caribbean culture, but amidst definitely within American society and all of that, and so. My perspective of Rastafari is not so much from the sense of sex, from being within a particular tribe or sect, or whatever you want to call it. I discussed possibly denomination as a
denomination,
for lack of another term, but in terms of being structured into the three main sections of Rastafari, 12 tribe, Nyabingi, Order, and the Bobo Shanti. And so, I mean, those being the sort of overarching sects, so to speak. And so, kind of coming into some more of like a pure perspective, because what it really was for me is that I was growing up in an Episcopalian background and, deep in study and went through the whole nine of being confirmed and all of that. But it was actually coincidentally right around that time that I started to question things because, it's sort of, counterintuitive to be a Black person, but also be involved in a system that was placed upon you by the oppressor, and in turn, in any way you want to slice it, there's multiple different perspectives. Some people will say, "Oh, well, we were the first people to have that particular spirituality." Is the argument that a lot of Ethiopians and a lot of people in Africa in general kind of have towards Christianity, is that we have the closest to the original source, and therefore. There's no shame in our game. I do think that sort of mentality is part of the reason why monotheism is successful in general, is that, there's all these different things that are placed in the proper space to be able to make that particular system successful. And so they have a fallback for this, that, and the third. And even by the very fact that the Bible has so many different hypocritical portions, they'll have they'll say one thing correct one way, and then another way it'll be the opposite in a different part of the book, or even within the same book. Genesis does that often. But in terms of that, those particular things are set into place to be able to keep on drawing people back in. By having things in the law that, you don't question it by nature is essentially, part of the reason as to why people end up staying in it for so long, is because they just are, well driven on the actual concepts that are presented by the literature. Mm-hmm. So it is in fact by reading sources outside of the Bible that you can even come to the rational perspective that various different things exist, every different perspectives exist within this world. And when you consider primary sources and the fact that the Bible is not one, then you start to delve into a scholarly perspective on the whole subject matter in general to find that these particular sources, which you can quote from, or you can read from, or you can, attract information from, are going to put you in such a place where you can then say, oh, well, I don't actually need to be of this one particular persuasion in order to achieve the same goal. And so, in that said, I feel that it doesn't necessarily mean like, hey, in order for you to do this, you must throw away the Bible entirely. No, not saying that at all. You can certainly pull wisdoms here and there if you wish, but I just find that the other systems, me personally, find that the other systems are more attuned to my particular cultural persuasion. And so as a result, it causes me to want to investigate further into things like, Kumina or Obea or herbalism in general, or understand the principles of Budun, or understand the principles of various, Kemetic culture and, different things, so that we can understand that the more that you study, the more that you look at, and the more that you experience, the more you're able to correlate cross-culturally. And so if you are able to achieve that, then you can precisely just, you can, expand in all different directions and foresee the interconnectivity and be able to raise your consciousness with that particular objective being at the base of the process. And so, as you study more and more, you just start to get more and more connections, more and more keys, more and more things to put forward a new identity that you are forming for yourself.
Facts. That was powerful, bro. That was powerful, right? And I concur with everything you just said. But the thing is, because of our exposure to Christianity for so long and having been reading just this one book, a lot of these African spiritual systems have actually been demonized. Because you did mention Vodun, you did mention the Obia, and you did mention these things, Kumina as well, which again is part of the presentation when I do make the video in regards to what type of Rasta are you? Are you a religious Rasta or are you a rebellious Rasta? Dealing with the Kumina side of things, and we'll go into the order of 60 and the order of 61, right? So because of Christianity, it has actually demonized a lot of these cultures. In a lot of the Caribbean islands, we will get what they refer to as Afro-Caribbean cultures. Okay, take for example, Kumina is a Afro-Jamaican spiritual system, predominantly from the Congo region, and in Saint Lucia we have an Afro-Saint Lucian religion called Kele, which is actually close to the Yoruba tradition in Nigeria, and these traditions were actually ostracized and repressed by the Christian, or by Christianity and the Christian nation, or Catholicism, so to speak. So a lot of our people think that for them to divulge or to just go off on a tangent, even to just learn just a little bit of the literature and the culture of these systems, would actually be them, for lack of a better term, giving life to Satan. Because the church has already demonized these cultures. But give thanks, individuals like yourself wasn't confined to one particular denomination within the movement, so you were actually open-minded. But a lot of us who left Christianity and came to the Rastafari movement still brought about that Christian understanding, and therefore we actually curse out these things, because it even said, when you study the history of Rastafari, it said that you're not supposed to even go and deal with the Obia man, and you're not even supposed to go into the yard, and the yard was where you would get the voodoo man and the witch doctor and them on actually practicing their culture. You know what I mean? And even in Bobo Shanti, it said that you're not supposed to light a candle, because lighting candle, that's some Obia thing and some voodoo thing, and you're not supposed to light candle, especially the candles with the different colors and all of them thing. And that is actually West African in origin. So they are really demonizing our direct culture in an effort to give us and for us to latch onto this Christian concept, even though we try to paint it with a black face. So while I agree with you and you say that we're really not saying to just go and throw away the Bible. I mean, although me myself, I'm a little rebellious in that sense. I'll still say, you know what, Gaza, we've been reading that for so many years, you can dash that away. But then
Well,
some
don't get
people,
me wrong.
you know, yeah, but some people
Yeah.
might be like, especially the elder black scholars, they knew that our people are so fixated on that one book. To make that statement alone, that would make the people turn away. So they wouldn't really make that statement directly, but they would tell them, you know what, go and read all the literature. You can rest the book for a little while. And, you know, probably I might say that in a few years from now, but I still have that rebellion, you know, that rebellious aspect to me, because I'm seeing they have enough literature out there. We have the Put Em Heru, the what they refer to or misnomer as the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We have the Amduat. We have the Book of Gates. We have the Bantu Cosmology. We have
it's because of, you know, the pyramid
culture.
text and you know Ptahhotep, and you know there's countless amounts of different
Countless, bro. Countless, man.
which can all contribute to you having a better understanding of philosophy in general, which is really, I think, is really the key to, you know, moving past the biblical persuasion. I mean, my particular perspective, I don't focus on the Bible. I don't read the Bible. I don't, you know, pray in that way or do anything that is in relation to Christianity anymore. You know, I came up in that perspective and said that this is actually not really doing it for me. The way that I relate to the divine is through nature.
Nice.
You know, I am an avid gardener and farmer that you know, practices permaculture and horticulture and hugelculture and, you know, different things that are correlated directly to nature. That, you know, that is my driving and understanding of the divine, is that, you know, I am just part of this thing which is greater than myself, and by me being able to study within it, that is my worship. You know, I don't think, but you know, that's because of where the journey is that has led me on my particular Rasta. And that's my theory, is that my Rasta is different from your Rasta, is different from the next man Rasta, because everybody is on their own path of consciousness. And I think that, you know, that is something that sort of has been like disconnected from the Rastafari movement by having this focus on monotheism, and by superimposing His Imperial Majesty onto Yeshua or onto Jehovah is the reason why there's sort of like a stagnation and can't move forward.
Yes.
You know, and I think that is, you know, with letting go of those things. No, I don't say just throw out the Bible in terms of that, you know, because even when people say burn fire upon the Bible and anything from the patriarchy system, them and all you know, Babylon system, when they them say that, but then, you know, we'll turn around, but then also have, you know, keep the Sabbath holy, you know. You know, turn around and, you know, still have all of these different celebrations for these particular individuals and do in the fashion of the Catholic Church, even though them say burn the Catholic Church, you know. So understand, like, it has had its effect on the movement, but that's history now, you know. And so now the youth them are rising up and coming into this new level of consciousness to be able to delve into how it is that we can move forward from the place from which our ancestors had to be a part of, you know. And honestly, I feel that within the history as well is sort of being able to act within the Rastafari perspective without defying the status quo is sort of the mantra of those whom were in the better part of the early 20th century, is that they are moving forward throughout their existence as Rastafari to be able to keep them roots, but then also, you know, keep them roots and culture, but then also adopt new culture, because you know, in the development of any tribe, that's what it is. You know, you are keeping some of the old and moving on with the new, because you have differences, then you create a new perspective, and then you turn into a new way. You know, and so it's just, you know, with that split, you know, there is some levels of patriarchal continuation which now need to be eradicated, but it is just part of our journey. You know, I can't tell somebody to do it. You know, they have to do it for themselves. And so as a result, you know, as they always say, you know, lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So that concept is something that you have to kind of just accept within yourself to be able to truly embrace that which you've lost. And so, but I do think that with the mantra of the monotheism, it is very much to just be afraid of that which is different. But when you really actually come to study the actual different tribal perspectives, you would find that because of the sense of unity, it is actually Christianity that's the weird one, because everyone else understands that all of these different principles are different descriptions of nature, whether we are talking about the Netaru, whether we are talking about Orisha, whether we are talking about Loa, whether we are talking about any particular overstanding from an African-centered mindset. We have these different individuals that are representative of a greater divine principle. Mm-hmm. And so whether that be having control over the winds, having control over the waters, having the representation of fire and lightning in your character, whatever that particular energy may be, it is basic. It is correlated to the elemental base that it is that makes up this world, and therefore is also correlated to science. And so, people should be, I feel that people should be more accepting to that concept, because Rastafari have been claiming nature since the onset. From the second that I put on an ankh, it said to me that I have a different perspective, and that perspective is related to my culture, not to something that was given to replace my culture.
Facts. And just having that symbol alone should sort of really make you just open-minded. And even by studying these African cultures, say again?
I said, oh yeah, that's the key.
Yeah. And even just by studying these African spiritual systems, it will aid us in annihilating and getting rid of that savior complex, and realizing that the savior, or the God we're actually waiting for, is really ourselves and each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, straight
up. Yes, that's the phrase that I constantly say in reference to, that we are life in pursuit of that divine light, which is key to our resurrection.
So just like the sun resurrects in the form of Kepri every morning, the becoming, we are also on our journey of becoming better versions of ourselves in the resurrection of ourselves for our divine African spiritual systems. And having said that, bro, I will seal it up straight there. I mean, your input was really powerful, seeing that you even came in late. You just added the missing spice to the cocoa tea, man. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, my pleasure.
So hopefully on the next bill you will be present from the start, and we can just go in. And yes. I hope you're actually working on the presentation like we discussed in regards to the Rasta and rebellion.
Yes, that is the key. That is the key, is coming to understanding that once you come into the rebellious mindset, that is what will inspire you to push on and keep on seeking more and more information and data and everything you can to be able to, pursue that which is most, valuable to you when starting this journey. And that by understanding the different tribal perspectives, we'll be able to better. But I do need to put it into an organized fashion to be able to present it for you, because my mind just sort of bounces all over the place from being able to. And I know you have that similar experience where you just kind of have so much different information that you've pulled from different places from all over the years, and then you try to compile it into a cohesive statement, but then it's sort of an unrelatable concept, because the thing which you are then presenting is even more complex sounding than you are actually able to even present.
Yeah. But hopefully those on the path will be able to grasp what the perspective or your perception that you're trying to bring across to them, which again will help them in evolving and becoming better versions of themselves.
Yeah, man.
Straight up,
So I
straight
give
up.
thanks and praise for the opportunity to come through even for this short time and look forward to the next build, my brethren.
Yeah, man. I myself give thanks for even you coming in, bro. I mean, that was just powerful, man. I'm telling you, that was powerful, bro. Perhaps when you go and you listen to the video from the start again and you listen to yourself, you'll be like, damn, okay, I actually went in there in just this short moment, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Thanks and
Yeah,
praise.
man.
We give
So
thanks
peace and love, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Jasineb, and more life to you. And to the subscribers and to all the viewers, peace and love, and hope this was as just beneficial and edifying to you as it was to myself and to the brethren as well. So having said that, peace and love. Don't forget that coconut oil.
Rastafari.
Peace. Stefan, give thanks, King.